I'm going to do an insight video today. Very much so. There's so much sort of like going on, like in our spiritual energy fields around sort of releasing, transformation, transmutation. There seems to be a lot of stuff coming up where around sort of like releasing, letting go, and it's very much around sort of like patterns and sort of like old cycles are coming up. This is not sort of like something that is sort of by chance or by accident. It's very much sort of coming up at the moment by design. I feel like a lot of us are sort of like being sort of like guided and directed to let go, and to transform and activate and become more aware and start to shift and change again, once again, into our spiritual nature, our spiritual source, energy and light. It's very much around this time is very much around that at the moment, that we're all sort of like being asked to walk in, express that light, start to activate and start to really become conscious of our spiritual nature and our spiritual energy. It's like I say about releasing and letting go. I feel there's like a lot of stuff coming up for a lot of different people at the moment, in the sense where things are coming to the forefront, like old energy, sort of like frequencies, energy vibrations and patterns that have been very much sort of like in people's lives, and they're coming up. They're coming up for a reason. They're coming up for it to help us to transform and transmutate. And transmutate again is this notion of going from one state of being to another. And this is what happens when we sort of like we move over into the spirit world. When transmutation to me is going from like one state of being to another, and states of being are in my understanding is sort of like so this is your human form, and you're like, this is a state of being, and then you go back to like spirit, or you go back into energy and light, and that's another state of being. So transmutation works on many different levels, and it's interconnected into the ascension process. And this is why sort of like Saint Germain talks about that, and through teachings and the spirit world talks about that. Transmutation is so important. It's very much around shifting consciousness and shifting understanding and awareness. Also, very much at this moment, I've been sort of like directed to sort of like a lot of my sort of like directions and sort of like communication is around sort of materialism at the moment. I'm not attached to it in that way, but it's sort of like the materialistic or the physical world is very much a three-dimensional reality, and sort of like angels and guides and the masters are very much sort of like directing me at the moment around sort of like letting go of that, and trusting and having the faith and the understanding that you know things are working out exactly as they should. And that's one of the biggest sort of things about being human, is that trust, that faith, that understanding, and sort of like letting go, and knowing that you know that you're supported, and you have the energy, and you have the insight and the awareness to apply to situations and events that are going on in our lives. You know, for me, there's a lot of old patterns and there's a lot of old frequencies that are coming up specifically for me. And usually, because of the way I've always worked, and I always feel like I have worked like this, um, when I get something, everything is interconnected. Everything is part of that like law of oneness. And so like if one thing's happened to one of us, we're open to a vibration or a shift or a frequency shift on the planet that's happening to us. It's happening across the board, because with the spirit again, it's very much around, and the masters, it's a collective thing. They don't work on an individual level, they work on a collective level. And if you're open to the master vibrations, and you're open to the angel vibrations, the angel frequencies, then you're like you work in a sense like a messenger, or like providing information, insight, wisdom and understanding to all beings, that all beings are sort of like connected and are part of this, and we're all here to sort of like support each other, and to share those vibrations, share those that wisdom and that understanding, so each and every one of us can transform. And transformation and transmutation are two very important parts of the process at the moment, as we're going through this spiritual evolution for a lot of us at the moment. Very much like it is very much having to really sort of like awaken, and like I say, activate to me is like, again, it connects straight into transmutation, which is very much around sort of this state of awareness, this state of understanding, as we start to become more aware of our energy frequencies and our energy light, our light and our energy, is the activation and the awareness and the transformation is very much connected into that, because again it's this transmutation going from a different state of being where we become more conscious and more aware. And this is what I feel again the masters are very much telling us about. You've got other masters as well, when I've been talking about illumination and Lord Lanto. Illumination is being opening up as a channel, opening up to understanding, to that source energy, that source light. And it's also illumination is having the awareness and the consciousness to apply that wisdom and express it to our lives and to our reality. And again, illumination works on many different levels. Again, illumination is very much interconnected again, and the masters give you Lord Lanto, it's very much around sort of collective consciousness, collective understanding. Again, illumination is having wisdom and expressing light and illumination, and sort of walking in your own spiritual truth and your sort of soul wisdom, your soul knowledge, and bringing those qualities back to this life. And this is what the masters did. The masters were awakened in that way. They walked through this life, and they activated their sort of like their soul wisdom and their soul energy, and they expressed it. And again, each of our soul energy is brought, and our qualities are brought to this lifetime, and we've sort of like we've come from the spirit world to bring this back. Again, with the angels as well, we work in this way with the angels. The angels understand the sort of like the soul qualities and the soul wisdom that each and every one of us has, and they're here to guide us. And like I said, we're all messengers in that way. We're all sort of guides for each other. We're all bringing this down. And illumination again is about expressing that knowledge and that wisdom in this moment, in this time, which is very much needed. We're all seeds. We've all got like we've all got to see. I was right. A long time ago, when I was channeling a bit of information, there was a book that I wanted to write, and it was something like The Flower of the Soul. And to me, I feel like I'm being sort of like directed at each and every one of us. It has like that soul, that seed knowledge, that seed wisdom, and each and every one of us through shifting and changing our consciousness and understanding and our awareness, and we start to awaken and ascend, then we start to create and sort of like grow into these flowers, the flower of the soul, and that is like where we sort of like bring our beauty, our understanding, our vibration to this time and this moment. And it's very much, this is what this time's about. And spiritual teachings are very beautiful, they're very simple, they're very powerful, and they're very beautiful. They bring like beauty and awareness, and the flower of the soul is very much around that. It's about each and every one of us growing and bringing our own qualities to this time, which is very much needed. And this is what they did again. I said in these spiritual cultures before, when you talked about Atlantis, you talked about Lemuria. It's bringing your light, your energy, and it's awakening to that, and awakening to the knowledge that you're not disconnected, that you're one vibration, you're one frequency in this time, this moment, and then the infinite light frequencies of the infinite beings are around you. They're supporting you. They're aligning with you, and they're integrating with you to bring this consciousness, this awareness for ascension and awakening. And this is what's going on at the moment. Call upon ask for the assistance of angels, ask for the assistance of archangels, ask for the assistance of ascended masters, and open up to the energy, energy frequencies of these beings around you, because you're not walking alone. You are infinitely connected to an infinite source of infinite beings, of infinite dimensions, of infinite realities. We are not alone. And I think for a long time this is what's happened on this planet with the 3D dimension and the 3D consciousness. It was very much around external consciousness, and it didn't connect into, like, again, the universal law of correspondence, which is the inner world, the inner source energy and the source light of each and every being that we all carry. We all carry this blueprint, and this part of this reality and this journey is to open up to that and start to bring that forth. And it's about sort of like I said, anchoring it again. It's about integration. And again, all of this leads towards walking and creating a spiritual reality, but a spiritual truth. We all walk in our own spiritual truth, and this is why sort of when you look at everybody's journey, it's all very sort of individual. It's all part of the whole, but we all bring a spiritual truth and spiritual qualities and spiritual wisdom from our souls to this planet. um, and this is what we've done. So, and this is why we've come back. And for a lot of us, this is our purpose, is to walk in our spiritual truth. But when you talk about spiritual truth as well, you talk about, there's many different religions, many different sort of approaches, many different sort of ways of thinking and feeling and expressing life. Well, this is because there's many different ways of walking in your spiritual truth, in your spiritual light, and this is why it's important as well, that when you talk about spiritual reality and spiritual sort of consciousness, that you're very much around sort of not judging, because actually everybody has come down to bring their own truth and their own light to this time, and each and every one of us, by doing that, are bringing a piece of the puzzle. We're bringing a vibration, a frequency to back to the planet that's needed. So it helps for Mother Earth and Gaia, but it also helps for each individual being. But it also helps to open up the energy sort of like frequencies of the planet. But it also helps to open up the energy channels, so that each and every one of us, when we're expressing and walking in our own light and our own truth, we're also opening up as energy channels. And while we're doing that, we're connecting back into that infinite source of energy, the infinite source of light. And again, this is Almora. Almora helps us with that. This Almora helps us with the divine intelligence, the divine the divine will. It very much opens us up and connects us into that. Again, with Serapis Bay, where it's about ascension, it's going back to oneness, it's going back to the frequency of oneness, and the understanding that you're not separate. Just because you're walking in a physical body, you still have that light, that source energy, and it's about awakening and activating it, and sort of expressing it. And once we start to do that, then we start to walk in light and energy, and we come back to our true nature, to our true expression of who we are and what we are. This is the I am presence as well. When people talk about the I am presence, the I am presence is a manifestation of your true nature, which is this creative source, light and energy. It's coming back to the whole. It's coming back to this infinite source, and this is why we're here. This is what we're all here for. So, for me, it's like many of us. It's about how are you expressing that light? How are you expressing that wisdom? How are you expressing your truth? And you know what your truth is, because there's an inner knowing. There's an inner knowing in each and every one of us, where things resonate and they sit right, and that's your insight, that's your wisdom, that's your soul knowledge that's coming forth. That's your truth, and it's about walking in that truth and walking in that light. A lot of this time is when I talk about transmutation and transformation, and this notion of the divine will. It's very much around us being very conscious that we have the ability to shift and change that. And this is what source energy and source creation brings to us. And this is why it's a different shift in evolution. And the masters knew this, Christ knew this, the ascended master. Jesus knew this as he walked on the earth, that he could shift and change, and and not even he, the energy of the Christ consciousness that walked on the planet knew this. It knew that there was an infinite source, and we were all connected to it. We were all interconnected, and by expressing your truth and your reality, you opened up to that source energy for your own being, but then you also managed to open up this vibration, this frequency that connected to other beings, and it opened up their consciousness. And this was part of the ripple effect, and this also opened up all of us to ascension and the ascension process. And this is coming back to oneness, that we're all part of the same universal family. We're all part of the same sort of universal family of light. And this is what this time's about, and this is what light workers are here for, is to bring back that light and anchor it in. For this time, there's a lot of energy, there's still a lot of vibrations and frequencies need shifting. We're doing our part in the physical reality here, but we're interconnected to the infinite beings of light and reality, the teachers, the angels, the guides, the masters that are around us. We're part of that process, we're part of that whole, we're all connected. And again, like I said, this is what happened in years ago with Lemuria and Atlantis. In that time, they were very much connected to the universal consciousness. They could leave their body through crystal chambers and crystal vibrations and frequencies, and they could then go back to this infinite source of energy and consciousness. They could, when people talk about sort of like astral traveling, where they travelled through different sort of like the consciousness or the energy left their body, and they could travel to different realms and realities to connect into to the infinite source and bring back knowledge and wisdom for the planet. Well, we're all channels like that. You know, you don't necessarily have to travel to do that. We can all open up to be channels of that, and this is what's needed this time. So we're coming back to source energy, source awareness, source oneness, source light and energy, and we express it and we create. So we start to create a new reality, a new vibration, a new frequency, individually in our own lives, but then for the collective as well. That's the insight video for today. Please comment, please subscribe, like, follow. Go to my Facebook page, Spiritual Awareness and Insight, and leave a comment if you've got a question or you've got any sort of like feedback on anything that's been discussed today. I'll quite happily get back, and I'll obviously try and answer any questions that come forward.